And one of the big things that came out was this role that education played. And just understanding that when we talk about K-12, when we talk about getting kids through high school, oftentimes the conversation never goes to, but what happens after that? And how are students navigating college? You don't understand my story, any of our stories, without understanding the role that higher education played in it. And to see the challenge that so many students are having, 50% of African American students who enter college every single year won't make it past their first year of college.
That's insane.
I had this idea of college, and it was like, there's no way I'm going to keep up.
First year at Morehouse?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it was really, really tough. It was intimidating.
Exactly. It was the first day of NSO. I remember it honestly like it was yesterday. I came here with my aunt, and I have to say I was thoroughly intimidated from it was so much energy on campus.
Well, I was never really, this is almost not embarrassing to say it just makes me different, but I was never really just like a super nerd per se. And I was always more so into like socialization and like the arts. And so when I got here and I was like, oh wow, everyone was valedictorian at their school and salutatorian and had these amazing GPAs, and I'm like,
and I found out like I'm way in over my head, and I had bad study skills. In high school, I could just float. It wasn't a big deal for me to just make an A based off just listening in class. I didn't have to go home and study and things like that. I could just do it, and it just came easy to me. I don't know. I didn't feel challenged in high school, so when I got here, it was like, wow. What do you mean studying and homework are not the same thing? What do you mean I need to buy the textbook and I can't just listen in class and make it? And so I actually fell behind. I started falling my first semester, freshman year, and I continued to fall up into my junior year.
And then coming into a financial shortage that first day, having to go to financial aid, that added to the.
But the sad part is, by then it was already too late. That same summer that I found out I had ADHD, I also found out that I was going to lose all of my financial aid, my federal financial aid, and that was a scary feeling. I think my biggest fear was that feeling of crossing the city lines into Memphis and having to tell everybody who believed in you, who thought you were their hope, and who was so proud of you, who wanted a Morehouse shirt because you went to Morehouse, and tell them that I didn't make it, that I have to go back. I literally thought in my mind that I would spend at least a year inside of my room, not wanting to go outside the house because I didn't want to tell everybody that I was going to make it. But a good friend of mine, he pushed me to just not quit, but to go part-time. But in that time, I spent time sleeping in my car. I spent time just not eating. Most of the time, I was losing my appetite because of stress and different things like that. And it was just a really troubled time for me. But I think what got me through those moments were just knowing that I had no choice.
Face many challenges when it comes to higher education. For one, we all know that in this day, it is hard, very hard to finance an education, right? And so many of our parents don't make even what tuition costs for 1 year. And so you look at Morehouse, a full year of attendance costs a little over $40,000 a year. And there are many black families who barely bring that in from 2 incomes, let alone 1. And then you have the fact that, and I know this to be true from my own experience, when a black man enters a higher education realm or an environment, they still feel this obligation to home. And so when things would go on back home with my family, I felt the need to be there and to like drop everything here because, you know, I'm reading a book while my family is going through this. That doesn't make sense. And so,
And the crazy thing is, during that time, I also had to, since I didn't have any financial aid, I had to now figure out a job situation. So not only am I trying to readjust my life, recalibrate my life with knowing that I have ADHD, recalibrate my life because I don't have financial aid, I also need to do all of the school stuff that I was doing while having a job at the same time.
So I was going to be the first one in my first Burke male in my family to have a degree. And so I kind of wanted to, if not for myself, for my nephews and for everyone, the younger generation of my family, to kind of have that example and have those doors open.
We also wanted to completely dispel this myth that when people don't make it through, it's because they're not working hard enough. I mean, there are structural barriers that sit in the way, academic barriers, financial aid barriers, social transition barriers that both of these young men face, and that's what we hope to do with the documentary. That people